Hey everyone, this is Roberto Blake and welcome to another Photoshop CC tutorial video. In this tutorial we're going to learn how to make stunning black and white portraits from your original color portraits using some simple adjustment layers and effects in Photoshop CC. You don't need Photoshop CC to follow along with this tutorial. You can do this in any modern version of Photoshop using the same techniques. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see here, I have a few adjustment layers. I have a levels adjustment layer, a brightness and contrast layer, a black and white adjustment layer, which is doing our primary effect, but I also have an overlay layer here, which is a duplicate of our original image with a 33% opacity setting. So you're gonna see why I did all of that. You can see here that the image is a little more flat when I don't have the overlay layer. So it adds a little more contrast and it's not nearly as flat. So that's one of the first things that I did. Obviously, the black and white adjustment layer is what's doing our primary effect here. So if I do everything else without that, you can see that it actually does help the image and makes it a little more vibrant. So this is what our image looks like, which is already pretty good, just straight out of the camera. But again, doing all of these incremental, smaller changes, especially as we take it to black and white, does make a difference. And even without black and white, those are helping it out considerably. So let's go ahead and start from scratch, and I'll show you how I did this. So the first thing I did was I did a duplicate layer, which you can use Option Command, which you can do with shortcut, Control J on Windows, Command J on Mac. And I went ahead and I set the blending mode to overlay. Now you can see that's a little harsh on this, so obviously I scaled it back. And you can scale this back to whatever you want. 15-20% might be a little too much to make a difference. Maybe we'll, again, stick with 33%. So that's pretty good. Now, the next thing I did before I did anything else was I went ahead and I went down here and added an adjustment layer to make this black and white. Now, once you do that, you do have some options here in the sliders, and you can adjust it as needed. And this will, again, bring out whatever it is you're trying to bring out. It can make some areas lighter or darker, just depending on what you need or want from it. And you just, kind of play that by ear. There are some presets up here that you could mess around with. You can do what you want with those. But again, I usually just go with the sliders because that's what usually produces the best result for me. So I go ahead and I just make, kind of my custom adjustments based on what I'm trying to do and what I want out of the image. In my case, what I go for is I try to go for keeping the image natural, but also creating, high contrast and depth. So we've accomplished that for the most part here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the brightness and contrast real quick. In my case, I like to brighten things up a bit, but not blow them out. You can obviously go way too far with that, but what I like to do is try and do that and then decrease a little bit of the contrast to bring back some fine details in places like the hair. But if I feel that there's not enough contrast in other places, the cool thing about this is it's done in such a way that you can use masking and you can select a black brush and you can go ahead and you can paint in areas that you feel you don't want that effect in, where you want some of that contrast back. So maybe I want some of that contrast back here where the lips are and in a few of these shadow places, but I don't want as much of it in the hair. Maybe I want it here around some of the areas of the face and eyes. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, so we've made those changes. One of the last changes we're going to make is to the levels. And using the center slider, I can go ahead and I can balance out some of the tonality here and get back some detail. But again, that's making things way too light. So then I'll go over here to the far left and I'll darken some things up a bit. Now some of this will be too harsh in other areas, but it's okay because once again, I can go ahead and take our brush, set it to something like 60%, get a little bigger. And again, I can paint out areas that I feel I don't want to have all of that harshness on. So I can do that. And then, of course, if I feel it's still too much, I can always just scale it back a little bit here in the slider and see what I get. So I can adjust this as needed to get the results that I want. So again, this is all non-destructive. Everything we've done here can be undone. It can be taken away. We can mask things out. We can adjust it as we need and see fit. So that's one of the great benefits of doing it this way, and how you get a really great overall stunning black and white image. Now, what people used to do, back in the old days of Photoshop, is they would just go straight up here to adjustments, and they would just go desaturate, and they would just get that, and that's it. But if you compare what we have, that's a much better black and white portrait than just that. So again, big difference. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this Photoshop CC tutorial. This was another quick one, straightforward and simple. And this is how you get the most out of your images as far as converting to a black and white portrait. If you have any suggestions as to how to improve this, or you have a tutorial, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Let me know about other tutorials that you want to see from me. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other Photoshop CC tutorial videos in my channel. And as always, thanks for watching.